Aaron Rodgers. Whoa, is that the bad man that I'm talking about? Yeah, it's that bad man. But I got bad news for Aaron Rodgers, as it seems like he is done for the season with a torn Achilles injury. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Aaron Rodgers as he got injured on the fourth offensive snap of the game for the Jets. Despite Aaron Rodgers getting injured, the Jets improbably beat the Bills as the team played sensational on Monday Night Football with a walk-off punt return touchdown by Xavier Gibson. The Jets are now 1-0, even without Aaron Rodgers playing football for them. Before I say anything else though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So here it is. What is your reaction to Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles? And honestly, I feel devastated for Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles. He is the guy that got me into the game of football. He made me amazed with the way that you could play at the quarterback position with the ability to throw a lot of touchdowns without turning over the football. I like the way that he could throw with different arm angles. I love the fact that he could draw opposing defenses off sides. I love the fact that he could throw the deep ball as good as anybody. And I like the fact that he was a consistent winner for so long. And also because of the fact that Aaron Rodgers throughout his NFL career has generally been pretty durable. Sure, he hasn't been Brett Favre type durable, but for the most part, he's been pretty durable. He's been able to stay upright until right now. To see Aaron Rodgers tear his Achilles on that turf at MetLife Stadium, just absolutely devastating to see. I couldn't believe what I was seeing because of the fact that I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. I picked the New York Jets to win the AFC East division title before the season started, and to see Aaron Rodgers go down like that is absolutely devastating. Obviously, they're saying that he tore the Achilles. That's what Robert Saleh is saying. Seems like he's not going to come back this year because of the fact that Achilles injuries take at least a year to recover from. And with Aaron Rodgers being at the age of 39, it seems highly doubtful that he will have a quick recovery time. In fact, this could be a career-ending injury. Now, as far as whether I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire or not, of course he's not going to retire. Aaron Rodgers is going to be back in the game of football by next year. Mark my words. Aaron Rodgers is not going to let this injury derail his career. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the kind of guy where he's going to write his own ending. He's not going to let a torn Achilles get in the way of that. Aaron Rodgers is the master of getting narratives written down on the board, and he's going to make sure that he doesn't want to have his career end with a torn Achilles. He's going to come out there on the football field again in 2024, and he's going to say, I'm going to prove to you guys that you can overcome a torn Achilles at the age of 40. And this honestly reminds me of when Vinny Testaverde tore his Achilles for the New York Jets in 1999. Obviously, I wasn't alive to see it, but since I have the ability to read the history of the NFL on my phone, as well as being able to hear other versions from other folks that followed the New York Jets in 1999, it sounds exactly like it, right? Because the New York Jets in 1999 were getting so much hype. They were saying that they were going to be potential Super Bowl contenders because of the fact that they just made the AFC Championship game in 1998, and because of the fact that John Elway, the quarterback that beat the New York Jets, had just retired, which means that in your mind, you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, the Jets have a wide open shot to go to the Super Bowl this year. They got Bill Parcells as their head coach, one of the greatest head coaches ever. And you're thinking, what could possibly go wrong? And then Vinny Testaverde tears his Achilles, and the Jets season is effectively done. That's what I was thinking when Aaron Rodgers tore that Achilles. When Aaron Rodgers tore that Achilles, I was thinking, oh my goodness, we are just witnessing history again for the New York Jets. How about that? Can we really believe that the New York Jets are going to be just fine without Aaron Rodgers? Of course not. Now they got to go with the former draft bust playing quarterback for the New York Jets in Zach Wilson. And honestly, Zach Wilson is only here on the roster because no team wanted to trade a late round pick to get Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson is literally the definition of a bust. He came one pick after Trevor Lawrence in the 2021 NFL Draft. He has been horrible for the New York Jets in his last two seasons as an NFL starter. He was dead last in passer rating in his rookie season and his second season. Zach Wilson has the inability to push the ball downfield. Zach Wilson is everything that you don't want in a quarterback. Now, it seems like Zach Wilson has matured up a lot. It seems like he has learned to finally take accountability for his struggles in the NFL. However, he has more problems than not being able to take accountability for his own actions. Zach Wilson doesn't really have a lot of talent, quite frankly, for a number 2 overall pick. He has a good arm, not necessarily a great arm. He is definitely not accurate as a passer. Zach Wilson doesn't really read defense as well whatsoever. And honestly, the current roster that the New York Jets have is not suited for Zach Wilson to be successful. And that's not Zach Wilson's fault, right? Because Zach Wilson was not supposed to be the QB1 for the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be the QB1 for the New York Jets, and he was the guy that was supposed to take charge and lead the way. And this roster was built for Aaron Rodgers to be able to win now with those players. players. But those veteran players that are on the Jets now they're like, oh my goodness, now we got to deal with the project at the quarterback position. Now we got to deal with one of the biggest busts in the last decade, Zach Wilson. And honestly, the answer to that is yes. They don't really have a better answer. I mean, alternatively, they could call Cam Newton out of retirement. They could say, hey, Cam, are you still interested in playing in the NFL? Go ahead and make the New York Jets relevant again. Or maybe they could call Matt Ryan out of the booth and say, hey, Matt Ryan, you still interested in playing quarterback? Or maybe they strike a trade for Jameis Winston. I mean, honestly, none of these options sound great whatsoever. I mean, the New York Jets right now might be calling Tom Brady out of retirement, and they might be saying, hey, Tom, would you be interested in playing for the rival Patriots in the New York Jets? And Tom Brady's going to be like, nah, man, I'm getting out of here. Goodbye, everybody. I'm not here to go play football anymore, especially for my division rival. Yeah, I'm not signing up to play for the New York Jets just so I can get beat twice by Bill Belichick. Look, the reality of the situation is this. The Jets Super Bowl hopes were never really a realistic thing to even expect to happen, and now it definitely is not realistic to expect that. The New York Jets' Super Bowl hopes are essentially over. There is nothing they can do about that now. As far as whether they could win the AFC East or not, I'm actually still pretty optimistic about the New York Jets. You know why I'm still pretty optimistic about it? Because of the fact that they got Breece Hall, because of the fact that they got Dalvin Cook, because of the fact that they got Garrett Wilson catching the football, because of the fact that they got Randall Cobb, Allen Lazard, Mecole Hardman. They still have weapons all over the place defensively. They're still very good. They're still elite. It feels like the New York Jets lost, right? But they actually won, and they beat against a Buffalo Bills team that a lot of people picked to win the AFC East, and not only win the AFC East, to contend for the AFC Championship game this season. Most people say that Josh Allen is a top 5 quarterback, but the New York Jets actually won the game, and they won the game because they forced 4 turnovers from Josh Allen, forcing 3 interceptions from him and a lost fumble. I mean, the New York Jets defense has been outstanding all game long yesterday, and they were outstanding last year too. They're going to be even better on that side of the field. And offensively, look, I'm not going to sugarcoat. It's going to be tough because Zach Wilson's the quarterback, but you're thinking, okay, Zach Wilson, if he can just play better than he did last year, the New York Jets have a shot because they can run the football. They got guys that can catch the football, and defensively, they're going to keep the games low scoring. If Zach Wilson could just find a way to get the Jets to 17 points a game, they're going to win more games than not. I still think that the New York Jets are going to end up winning the AFC East division title. I'm not a believer in Mac Jones and the New England Patriots. It's not exactly like the Patriots have a championship caliber defense and have great pass catchers. And then you look at the Buffalo Bills, they can win against any given team a week. They can also lose to any given team in a week. Josh Allen is just too much of a turnover machine. And then, of course, you got the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa seems like he's turning around in his NFL career. However, I'm not convinced that Tua Tagovailoa will be able to stay healthy in his career because of the fact that he has always been injury prone his entire career. I expect that trend to continue, which means that the division for the New York Jets is still going to be wide open. If I'm the New York Jets, I'm not going to go ahead and hang my head just because Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles. I'm going to say, let's rally around Zach Wilson. Let's find out what Zach Wilson does really well. Let's run the football effectively. Let's play good defense. Let's play efficient football. Let's rely on the coach. Let's rely on guys making plays on the defensive end of the field. If guys on the defense have to score a touchdown, so be it. The defense has got to go out there and go be great. Now, obviously, they're not going to go ahead and contend for the Super Bowl, but you're not going to go ahead, hang your head, and say, oh my God, Aaron Rodgers is gone. Let me just go 0-17 because there's just no point in trying. Of course, they're not going to go ahead and do that. They're too talented to do that, and they're still a playoff team, even with Zach Wilson at quarterback. I'm not saying Zach Wilson is a good quarterback, but if they can get him to play Mitchell Trubisky type football, who is my player comp for Zach Wilson coming out of the draft class, then this is a team that can still compete for the playoffs because they've got good receivers, they got good running backs, and like I've said, they've got an amazing defense. They just got to hold teams to under 17 points. If they can find a way to hold teams to under 17 points and say, Zach Wilson, just show up for 3 drives, please, man, just show up in 2 minutes, show up at the end of the game, put together some drives in the second half, maybe even show up on the opening drive, and we'll be straight. We'll take care of it. And that's exactly the mentality that the Jets have got to go out there and get it with. And for Robert Saleh, honestly, I feel for him. For Aaron Rodgers to tear his Achilles is like, oh my goodness, now I got to go back to Zach Wilson. Now it's like, man, I traded for Aaron Rodgers just so I could avoid getting in these situations. I could have finally said, I finally have an elite quarterback. And for Aaron Rodgers to tear his Achilles on the 4th offensive snap of the game for the Jets, just absolutely devastating. Robert Saleh's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to end up getting fired because Aaron Rodgers got hurt. It's not even because I was a bad coach. It's because I'm going to be handcuffed with Zach Wilson as my freaking QB. So that means that the worst nightmare for the New York Jets just came true. They could not afford to have Aaron Rodgers get injured this season, but that's exactly what happened. Now they got to rely on Zach Wilson to save their season, or maybe even call Cam Newton and Matt Ryan out of retirement. I don't know. The solutions honestly just don't sound great. Maybe they can even strike a trade for Jameis Winston, but Jameis Winston is just not that good of a quarterback. And then, of course, there's also Carson Wentz in free agency. If I'm the New York Jets, definitely don't sign Carson Wentz because Carson Wentz is a coach killer and that he honestly has not been productive in recent memory whatsoever, and that he doesn't win the big games whenever you need him to win a big game in your lifetime. So obviously they gotta go ahead, stick with Zach Wilson as the QB1 and say, okay, let's rally around Zach Wilson. Let's understand what he does well and what he doesn't do well, and let's not put Zach Wilson in bad positions to succeed. Now, obviously, that's a huge disappointment for Zach Wilson because of the fact that he's a former number 2 overall pick. But hey, it is what it is. If you're the New York Jets, you just have to deal with the cards that you're dealt with. It's that simple. As for Aaron Rodgers tearing the Achilles, I mean, obviously, that's just brutal. The most notable highlight that Aaron Rodgers had for the New York Jets this season was carrying the United States of America flag during the introduction while running out to midfield and carrying that flag on 9/11. Other than that, though, his Jets memory, I'm pretty sure he will want to forget everything about it, because in those 4 snaps, they got to hand the football off on the first play of the game. They get a big run from Breece Hall, then there was an incomplete pass, it was a throwaway, then he drew a defensive holding call on the Bills, and then obviously he got sacked by Leonard Floyd. I mean, obviously there's only so much you can take away from 4 snaps in the game, but for Aaron Rodgers, it's just absolutely devastating to see it happen. Same thing with the New York Jets, but we'll see. I still think the New York Jets can still be a competitive football team and win the AFC East division title with a 10-7 record. They just got to find ways to get creative around it, but their schedule is just looking pretty tough. To play the Dallas Cowboys week 2 with Zach Wilson at quarterback, that's just brutal for them to have because of the fact that the Cowboys just blew out the Giants by 40 points and their defense is elite, so that's going to be a tall task to ask Zach Wilson to go ahead and beat them, but we'll see what happens. Crazier things have happened in the NFL, but they've just got to rally around Zach Wilson. And as for Aaron Rodgers, I hope that you can recover as quick as you can and that you can come out on the football field at least one more time, because you were a great player and that you are going to be a future Hall of Famer. You are what got me into the game of football. It's really that simple. So that is why I am very depressed and sad for Aaron Rodgers to tear his Achilles against the Bills on Monday Night Football. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I may shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @Dustin Tran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @Dustin Tran and @Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @Dustin Tran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel Sports Guy Talking.